Welcome in the studio, the tragic hero, I want to say. Frodo, it's hard to put anything into words. My heart was going down when I saw you out there. How are you feeling in this moment? Other words?
I mean, honestly, it's pretty bittersweet. I kind of, I knew I made a bit of an error 2 weeks ago, where I managed to re-tear the scar that's formed on my tissue, on my tendon, and it was so up and down. Honestly, the last couple of weeks have just been tricky to say the least. A couple of hours spent on the side of the road contemplating the further sense of life, but in the end, I'm happy I came here. 2/3 of the race went really, really well. I actually felt fantastic for 3K as well on the run, but it was just inevitable that the tendon was gonna give me some grief. I've had a few light moments where I say, okay, yeah, let's just go. But yeah, it's just been that kind of phase, and honestly, I just try and take away the positives, even though right now my head hurts a little bit more than my tendon.
Extraordinary on the bike. Swim was also really good. I don't know if you were told there was a new bike record set by you, which was again cracked by Magnus. If it wasn't for Magnus, but still, incredible performance of you. Were there anything, or did you feel anything on the bike before with the Achilles, or was that fine until really the moment where it hit you on the run?
Yeah, it was really fine. This morning was actually probably the worst when I got up, and I was like, oh god, here we go. But then after the swim, I was really surprised. I ran out and ran to my bike, and I was like, oh man, this feels good. Okay, it's game on. And you're like, calm down, take a deep breath, and then it felt really good for 160k, and then started to pull up a little bit. But I mean, that's general fatigue, and we weren't exactly parking on the side of the road, so obviously the overall fatigue was just setting in, and yeah, it's just a fragile area.
Having a look at the race, Magnus went all the way with you in the end. A young gun, 24 years of age. He's still leading the race. What do you say to his performance so far? Were you happy to go with him on the bike?
Yeah, to be honest, I was real surprised how quick they came. I didn't have the best of transitions, but I was going well for the first half hour. My guess would have been about averaging maybe 3:30, and for him to make up a minute shows you he must have been really hauling. And then we got to sort of grading, and I think I averaged 4:40 for the climb, and I got dropped. So I knew then I knew how he made up the time. And I was like, okay, let's see. It's a long day, but he's obviously known for his biking. So yeah, I don't know, it was fun. I haven't had that kind of scenario either for a long time. And so it was nice to have the dynamic in the group. And then, yeah, I think in terms of his race, that's how he planned it. He's shown he's a decent swimmer, he's a very good cyclist, and in that combination, he really just has to hold on. And it's a marathon. But I think he's one of the bright shining stars and of the future, and I really think he can have a fantastic debut here.
In 2016, you were going for the world best time. I don't know how much eyes and ears you had for the surroundings, for the spectators. Did you have more chances to experience the full Roth emotions today?
It was nuts. It was genuinely nuts out there. It's especially, after the last 2-3 years where everything's been quiet and you got to try and keep your distance and all these kind of things. And I swear to God, the spectators, they timed it to the millimeter. I don't know how it didn't crash on Solaraberg, because it was so close. The police motorbike couldn't get through. Then we get held up with age groupers on the second lap. And there was just so much happening that it was absolutely fantastic to actually experience it more this time, because last time I think I made the mistake of being too goal focused and just having too much tunnel vision.
Let me ask a question. This became now my second job, and I'm afraid it seems to replace my main job. So I'm now the one who asking these difficult questions, and the first one, what's next?
I think I'm going to see my surgeon at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we're going to have a look at some hard facts and see how bad it actually is. And you know what, other than that, well, we dream for 14 weeks from now. I have to take the positive that legs, heart and everything else are pretty good. So I'm just hoping to build enough shape to be ready for Kona. And if I get anything else, that's a bonus. You got any suggestions?
Yeah, you already anticipated the second question, and that was, I mean, for me, it's like right now I'm not just struggling, with Achilles, but I just also realized how goddamn difficult it is to get back into decent shape. But I mean, you have been in absolutely great shape for this race, because, like you just said, I mean, you dropped Patrick on the swim. You probably your Training Peaks account is probably shining some new medals after today, for race day performances on the bike. I mean, this must give you some confidence if you get this thing fixed, or are you more like, oh God, I made myself work so hard and I was in this shape and I couldn't, finish it off?
No, I'm definitely on the bittersweet. Obviously, that it's a pity. But again, after 3 years without a race like that, yeah, of course the doubts creep in. You know how it is. And every time there was some kind of chance to measure up, I had something happen. And of course, I understand that that's part of the game. You got to be ready for the big days, and half of it is showing up. But I'm really happy to take these doubts. Took some new approaches. I moved to altitude, just realizing that with all my cross training, I kind of figured aqua jogging's bad enough, but it's also really hard to make aqua jogging hard. So I tried it at 2,100 meters, and it turns out, well, you just have to move. It's already hard. And we also figured out that my body just reacts super extreme to this, and they're positives I have to look at, and that's of course what you learn with injury. You know how it is. If you stick your head in the sand, well, you miss the opportunity.
And I think
for
also
sure,
at what I experienced also because I wasn't able to run, you start to try to look at different ways how to get fit in running. And then this also sometimes helps mentally. Probably not aqua jogging though, but
what's the call again? It's a fine line between fit and.
You said it's all about the soundtrack. You just have wireless headphones that are long enough range for one lane of aqua jogging. No, but I think sometimes it just also helps you mentally to do something new. And sometimes you don't do it as long as you keep winning, and as long as you're healthy and fit, you don't try anything new, because you never change a winning system. But then you have to change, and you realize, oh, this is actually not that bad. And I mean, we saw you doing a lot of ski cross tours and stuff like that, and that can be pretty helpful with fitness, especially if you do it at altitude. And at the same time, it can also be fun, right? I mean, so.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you've been in the game as long, or if not longer than me. And I think the hardest thing for us is also to find motivation at times, to not just fall into the same thing again. I mean, you have a few of the guys who ride the same loop every Sunday and stop at the same cafe and do the same thing. But I don't know, personally, I have to satisfy the curiosity a little bit as well and change things up. And that's something I've been forced to do. And yeah, it's exactly like you said. You have to question how to get better still. And the other good thing is if it hurts, not just physically, then you also know that you're not done yet.